The sun hadn't yet risen when Emma's alarm buzzed softly, cutting through the quiet hum of the old box fan in the corner. She blinked, exhaustion clinging to her bones like a second skin. The tiny one-bedroom apartment smelled faintly of last night's instant mac and cheese, and in the dim morning light, she could make out the small figure curled up on the lumpy couch. Her 6-year-old son, Noah, was still asleep, his tiny hand clutching a worn-out stuffed dinosaur, its seams fraying from years of love. Emma sat up slowly, rubbing her temples as reality settled over her like a heavy blanket. Another 14-hour shift at Rosie's diner, another day of carrying trays, smiling through back pain, and stretching every last dollar until payday. With a deep breath, she slipped out of bed, careful not to wake Noah. The floor creaked beneath her feet as she tiptoed to the kitchen. If the cramped corner with a microwave and a rusting sink could even be called that. She reached for the coffee canister, shaking it gently, almost empty again. Sighing, she turned to pack Noah's small backpack, one coloring book, a handful of crayons, and the same peanut butter sandwich he'd eaten every day this week. No sitter today, just like yesterday. As she zipped up his bag, a pang of guilt stabbed through her. "Mommy," a sleepy voice murmured. Emma turned to see Noah rubbing his eyes, his messy blonde curls sticking up in every direction. She forced a smile. "Hey, bud. We gotta head to work again today." Noah nodded sleepily. "Can I help you carry the napkins again?" Her chest tightened, but she just tousled his hair. "Of course, buddy." And with that, they stepped out into the cold morning, hand in hand, bracing for another long day. The breakfast rush at Rosie's diner was already in full swing by the time Emma tied on her apron. The scent of sizzling bacon and fresh coffee filled the air, mixing with the low hum of conversations and the occasional clatter of plates. She took a deep breath, rolled her stiff shoulders, and plastered on the same tired smile she'd been wearing for years. Noah sat quietly in a booth near the corner, his legs swinging above the floor as he colored in his book. Emma stole a quick glance his way, relieved that for now, he was content. She prayed the manager, Mr. Grant, wouldn't make a fuss about him being there. "Emma," a sharp voice cut through the noise. She turned to see Mr. Grant standing behind the counter, arms folded. "Table 5 just sat down. Big spender. Make sure he's taken care of." Emma nodded, grabbing her notepad and tucking a stray strand of hair behind her ear. She made her way over, slipping seamlessly into work mode, smiling, polite, efficient. Then she saw him. The man at table 5 looked like he'd stepped out of another world. Crisp navy suit, silver cufflinks that gleamed under the diner's fluorescent lights, and a watch that probably cost more than her rent. He barely glanced up as he skimmed through the menu. "Morning, sir. Can I get you started with some coffee?" Emma asked, balancing professionalism with exhaustion. Before the man could answer, a small blur darted past her. "Daddy," Emma's heart stopped. Noah had leaped from his seat and wrapped his little arms around the stranger's waist, pressing his face into the man's expensive jacket. The diner went silent. Conversations died mid-sentence. Even the sizzle of the griddle seemed to fade. Emma's hands went numb. The glass of water she'd been holding slipped from her grip, shattering on the floor. Every eye in the diner was now on them. For a moment, Emma forgot how to breathe. The entire diner had gone eerily still. Forks hovered mid-air, coffee cups sat untouched, and every set of eyes locked onto the scene unfolding at table 5. Noah, still clutching the stunned stranger's waist, grinned up at him like he'd just found a long-lost superhero. "Daddy, I knew I'd find you." Emma's stomach flipped. The man, Lucas Carter, one of the wealthiest businessmen in the city, sat frozen, his sharp blue eyes wide with confusion. He looked down at Noah, then up at Emma, his expression unreadable, part shock, part amusement, part what dash the dash hell dash is dash happening dash right dash now ... Emma snapped out of her daze, practically lunging forward to pry Noah off of him. "Noah, sweetheart, oh my God, I am so sorry, sir, But before she could finish, Noah beamed and pointed at Lucas's watch. "See, Mommy, I told you. He has shiny things. just like in my dreams." Emma wanted the ground to swallow her whole. Lucas raised an eyebrow, tilting his wrist to glance at his definitely not kid-proof Rolex. His lips twitched slightly, and for a moment, she swore she saw amusement flicker behind his eyes. I have to say, that's a new one," he finally said, his deep voice laced with bemusement. Noah nodded enthusiastically. "I see you in my dreams all the time. We go on adventures, and you always buy me pancakes." Someone in the diner actually snorted out their coffee. Emma's face burned as she crouched beside her son. "Noah, honey, we do not hug strangers and call them daddy, okay?" She whispered furiously, "But he's not a stranger." Noah argued. "He's Lucas." A fresh wave of embarrassment hit Emma like a freight train. Lucas chuckled under his breath. "Well, at least I have a name now." Emma squeezed her eyes shut. Yep, this was happening. The kitchen door swung open and Doris, the diner's oldest waitress who had seen it all, leaned against the counter, cackling. "Well, I'd say this is the most exciting breakfast rush we've had in a while." Lucas, to his credit, handled the chaos like a seasoned pro. He leaned forward slightly, eyeing Noah with a mix of curiosity and something softer, something Emma couldn't quite place. "Well, kid," he said, "if I'm buying pancakes in your dreams, I guess it's only fair that I buy some in real life." Noah lit up like a Christmas tree. "Really? With extra syrup?" Emma groaned internally. This man was not her kid's father, but as she looked into Lucas's unreadable gaze, a strange feeling settled in her gut. Maybe, just maybe, this wasn't over yet. Emma wanted to disappear. No, scratch that, she wanted to crawl under the sticky diner floor and stay there forever. But instead, she was standing in front of Lucas Carter, the very wealthy, very composed man her son had just accused of being his long-lost father. And now, to make things even more ridiculous, Lucas was actually buying Noah pancakes. At table 5, like this was some casual Tuesday morning tradition. Emma hovered awkwardly as Doris, the ever-amused senior waitress, gleefully placed a giant plate of chocolate chip pancakes in front of Noah, topping it off with that exaggerated wink. "There you go, sweetheart. Extra syrup just like your dreamed Addie promised." Noah gasped with excitement. "Thanks, Miss Doris. You make the best pancakes ever." Emma shot Doris a look. The old woman smirked and patted her arm. "Oh, honey," she whispered, "just let the man buy your kid breakfast. Could be worse, he could have run up to some poor trucker and called him daddy." Emma groaned. "You're not helping." Meanwhile, Lucas casually sipped his coffee, looking far too entertained by the whole thing. "So, Noah," he said smoothly, "you've been dreaming about me, huh?" Noah nodded enthusiastically, mouth full of pancakes. "Yup, we go on treasure hunts, and you have a really fast car." Lucas chuckled, setting his coffee down. "Well, at least your dreams have good taste." Emma rolled her eyes. Of course, the billionaire had to find a way to compliment himself. Still, despite the absolute insanity of the situation, she couldn't help but notice how effortlessly Lucas interacted with Noah. The way he listened, the way he actually engaged instead of just humoring him. It was unsettling, and dare she say it, kind of nice. Nope, not going there." Emma cleared her throat, stepping in before Noah could start giving this man their full life story. "Okay, well, this has been fun and only slightly traumatizing, but we should really let Mr. Carter enjoy his breakfast in peace." Noah pouted, "But, mommy, and no buts." She turned to Lucas, forcing a polite smile. "I'm really sorry about all this. My son has a very active imagination." Lucas studied her for a moment, then nodded. "No need to apologize. It's not every day I get mistaken for someone's dad." Doris snorted. "Shame, you wear it well." Emma nearly choked. Lucas's lips twitched, as if he was trying really hard not to smirk. Oh, for the love of, this diner was full of traitors. "Come on, Noah," Emma sighed, grabbing his sticky little hand. "Let's get you cleaned up before school." As she turned to walk away, she could still feel Lucas's gaze on her. And something told her this wasn't the last she'd be seeing of Table 5. The morning rush had come and gone, and Emma was finally catching her breath behind the counter. She was still recovering from the absolute circus that was table 5. Noah, completely unaware of the existential crisis he'd just thrown her into, was now happily drawing dinosaurs on a napkin with a purple crayon. Lucas Carter, meanwhile, had finished his breakfast and left a tip so big it looked like a mistake. Emma had stared at the wad of $100 bills like it might spontaneously combust. Doris, of course, had zero chill. "Honey," she had whispered, peeking over Emma's shoulder, "you sure you don't want to call him Daddy, too?" Emma had nearly dropped the cash on the spot. Now, hours later, she still felt rattled. And not just because of Lucas's absurdly generous tip or the way his blue eyes had lingered on her before he left. It was the man in the parking lot that had her stomach twisting. She'd noticed him earlier leaning against the fence near the playground, arms crossed, looking just a little too interested in her and Noah. At first, she had convinced herself she was imagining things. But then, as she was wiping down a table near the window, she caught his reflection in the glass. He wasn't just standing there anymore. He was watching. A chill ran down Emma's spine. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe it was just some guy waiting for his ride. Or maybe this whole table 5 situation had stirred up something much, much bigger than she'd realized. Emma took a shaky breath and forced herself to focus on work. But deep down, she knew this wasn't over, not by a long shot. Emma tried to shake off the uneasy feeling, but it clung to her like syrup on a diner menu, sticky and impossible to ignore. By the time her shift ended, she had convinced herself that the man in the parking lot was just a random guy with nothing better to do. Right, she really wanted to believe that. But as she grabbed Noah's backpack and headed for the door, her nerves were still buzzing. Just in case, she took a different route home, looping around the block instead of taking their usual shortcut through the park. She told herself she was being paranoid, but she also didn't feel like getting kidnapped today. Noah, completely unbothered, skipped beside her, humming a made-up song about pancakes and race cars. If only life were that simple. As soon as they stepped into their tiny apartment, Emma locked the door, checked the window locks twice, and then sighed, leaning against the wall. She was being ridiculous, right? Her phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen and nearly dropped it. Lucas Carter. Why was Lucas Carter calling her? She stared at the name like it might explode, then quickly shuffled into the kitchen, mouthing, act normal, before answering. Hello, Emma." Lucas's smooth voice came through the line. "I need to ask you something. Do you know a man in a baseball cap, kind of tall? Been hanging around the diner?" Emma's stomach dropped. Her eyes flickered to the window, heart pounding. "Why?" she asked slowly. "Because I think he's following you." Emma nearly dropped the phone. Noah, still in his carefree pancake world, sat at the table drawing a T-Rex. Emma, meanwhile, was having a full-blown crisis. Lucas sighed. "Listen, I don't want to alarm you, but I have resources, people who can look into this. Let me help." Emma rubbed her temples. This man had waltzed into her life less than 24 hours ago, and now he was casually offering to put her under billionaire-level surveillance. Absolutely not. Probably, she exhaled. "I appreciate the concern, but I can handle it." Lucas was quiet for a second. Then, in a tone that sent a shiver down her spine, he said, "Emma, this isn't just a coincidence. Someone's watching you. And if you won't let me help, then you'd better start watching them back." Emma swallowed. Oh, this was bad. And somehow, she knew Lucas Carter was just getting started. Emma sat at her tiny kitchen table, phone still clutched in her hand, trying to process the absolute chaos her life had become in the past 24 hours. One minute, she was just a regular overworked waitress. The next, her 6-year-old son was calling a billionaire CEO daddy. She was apparently being followed by mystery men in baseball caps. And now Lucas Carter wanted to launch a full-blown spy operation to help. Nope. This was not her life. "Mommy," Noah's voice pulled her out of her spiraling thoughts. She looked over to see him carefully balancing a juice box in one hand and a crayon in the other, staring up at her with big, curious eyes. "Yeah, bud," she said, doing her best to sound normal despite the fact that she was internally panicking. "Are we gonna see Lucas again?" he asked, completely unaware that he had thrown her entire existence into a blunder. Emma hesitated. "Why do you ask?" Noah grinned. "Because I like him. He's funny. And he has a cool car." Of course it was about the car. Before Emma could answer, her phone buzzed again. "Lucas, of course." With a deep breath, she answered, "Let me guess. You've got my apartment bugged now." Lucas chuckled. "Not yet. But if you'd like." "Absolutely not." He sighed. "Emma, I'm serious. I had my security team look into it. That man outside the diner? He's connected to Cashin Holdings, a company my firm is in a bidding war with. They have a history of using, let's say, less than legal intimidation tactics." Emma's stomach twisted. "So what? They're following me because I serve you pancakes?" Lucas hesitated. "Not exactly. Someone took a picture of Noah hugging me at the diner yesterday. It's been circulating online, and now certain people think you and I are connected." Emma froze. "Connected?" She repeated slowly. As in they think you're important to me," Lucas said smoothly. "Which makes you a target. Fantastic." So now she wasn't just a tired, underpaid single mom, she was a corporate liability. Emma dragged a hand down her face. "Lucas, I am way too broke for this level of drama." Lucas chuckled. "That's why I'm offering to help." Emma groaned. This man, she had no idea how she'd ended up in this mess. But one thing was clear, she wasn't getting out of it anytime soon. Emma didn't consider herself dramatic, but at this point, she was one minor inconvenience away from losing it. In the past 2 days, she had survived an entire diner staring at her after Noah called a billionaire daddy, discovered that some corporate goons were tailing her, learned that a random photo of her son hugging a rich guy had somehow turned her into a national security risk. And now, thanks to Lucas Carter's ridiculous insistence that she needed protection, she was standing in a hotel suite so fancy she was afraid to touch anything. Noah, on the other hand, living his best life. "Mommy, the TV is in the wall," he shrieked, bouncing on the actual cloud of a bed. Emma sighed, pinching the bridge of her nose. "Noah, don't." Too late. He face-planted into the pile of pillows with a dramatic thwomp and declared, "I'm never leaving." Emma wanted to argue, but honestly, same. Lucas leaned against the doorway, arms crossed, watching the scene unfold with clear amusement. "I take it the accommodations are acceptable." Emma shot him a look. "Lucas, I'm a waitress. My idea of luxury is not having to refill my own ice tray." Lucas smirked. "Well, consider this an upgrade." Emma crossed her arms. "And what exactly am I supposed to be doing here?" "Hiding out in a fancy hotel until this whole thing blows over." Lucas's smirk faded. "No, we need to figure out who's behind the threats and why they're targeting you, right? The actual problem." Emma sighed. "So what's the plan then? Am I supposed to be bait while you play billionaire Batman?" Lucas actually looked like he was considering it. "Not a bad idea, Lucas," he chuckled, shaking his head. "Relax, my team is handling the surveillance. For now, just focus on staying safe." Emma sighed. "Fine, but if I'm stuck in a penthouse, I'm ordering room service." Lucas raised an eyebrow. "You're not going to argue." Emma shrugged. "Rich people stress eat. Broke people take advantage." Lucas laughed. "Fair enough." Noah suddenly sat up, eyes wide. "Wait, do rich people hotels have chocolate chip pancakes?" Lucas smirked. "Only one way to find out." And just like that, Emma realized something terrifying. Lucas Carter wasn't just helping her. He was actually having fun, and that was dangerous. Emma sat on the ridiculously plush hotel couch, sipping a cup of tea that probably cost more than her electric bill. Noah was fast asleep in the king-sized bed, sprawled out like a tiny starfish, exhausted from a day of eating way too many chocolate chip pancakes. And Lucas, he sat across from her, unusually quiet, his fingers tapping against the armrest of the chair. For once, there was no smug billionaire charm, no effortless teasing, just contemplation. Emma set her cup down, watching him carefully. "You're worried," she said. It wasn't a question. Lucas sighed. "I don't like feeling 2 steps behind." Emma raised an eyebrow. "Welcome to my entire life." That earned her a small smirk, but the tension in his shoulders didn't ease. "You really think this is just about business?" she asked. Lucas exhaled, running a hand through his hair. "I don't know. But if there's one thing I've learned in my world, it's that power makes people reckless. They'll do anything to protect it, even if that means hurting innocent people." Emma nodded slowly, letting that sink in. She'd spent so long just surviving, never really thinking about the bigger picture. Her life had been a cycle of paycheck-to-paycheck struggles, last-minute babysitters, and hoping her car wouldn't die before payday. She'd never imagined that a random encounter at table 5 could pull her into a world where people played chess with real lives. She swallowed hard. "So what do we do?" Lucas's eyes met hers steady, determined. "We stop playing defense." Emma hesitated. "And start what? Attacking?" Lucas leaned forward, voice calm but firm. "No, we outsmart them." A lesson right there. It wasn't always about fighting harder. Sometimes it was about fighting smarter. Emma exhaled, nodding. "All right, genius. Where do we start?" Lucas's lips twitched. "Well, first things first, you should probably get some sleep. You're scowling more than usual." Emma rolled her eyes, grabbing a pillow from the couch and hurling it at his head. It almost hit him. Almost. And for the first time in a while, despite the chaos, despite the danger, Emma felt like maybe, just maybe, she wasn't fighting this battle alone. The hotel room was quiet except for the rhythmic ticking of the wall clock. Emma sat by the window, staring out at the city lights, her thoughts spinning faster than they had in years. For so long, life had been simple, predictable, tough, but manageable. Work, pay bills, take care of Noah, repeat. And now, she was caught in some corporate power struggle, hiding out in a luxury suite, being guarded by a billionaire who, for reasons beyond her understanding, actually seemed to care. Lucas walked in, tossing a folder onto the table. Noah still asleep. Emma nodded, eyes flickering to the papers. "What's that?" Lucas sat across from her, his usual confidence softened by something more serious. "Proof." Emma's stomach twisted. "Of what?" He met her gaze. "Cash and holdings. They've been using intimidation tactics for years, threats, blackmail, even bribing officials to look the other way." Emma exhaled slowly. "So it's not just about me." "No," Lucas said, "but they think you're important to me. That makes you leverage." A strange realization settled over her. Her whole life, she had felt small, powerless, just another waitress struggling to make ends meet. But now, she wasn't just collateral damage in someone else's game. She was a player, for the first